Years ago, when I was a younger gentleman, I had a very strange experience that I still think about more than I'd like to. I used to live alone in a small apartment just outside the city. It was quiet and tucked away in a corner of an old building. I liked it that way, with no neighbors to bother me. So it was a Thursday. I remember that because I had just come home from work. Same routine as always. I ate dinner, watched some TV, and then headed to bed around 11 p.m. Early that morning, around 2 a.m., I woke up suddenly. I didn't know why at first, but I had this weird, restless feeling. The room was pitch black, but I could hear a sound almost like someone breathing. I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe it was just the building creaking, or maybe I had left a window open somewhere. But I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck standing up. The breathing sound got louder and steadier. After about 30 seconds, I reached over and turned on my bedside lamp. But the room was empty. Nothing was there. I got up and checked the windows and doors, which were all still locked. Everything was as it should be. I went back to bed, but I couldn't shake that feeling, like something was off. But after a while, I must have fallen asleep again. The next night, the same thing happened. I woke up around the same time, but the breathing sound was closer. It wasn't just a faint sound in the background. It was like someone was standing right next to my bed. My heart started pounding, but once again, I couldn't really see anything. Just that faint dark outline of the bedroom as my eyes tried to adjust. I lay there in my bed completely still, listening to the sound. It was slow and deep. Honestly, something felt unnatural about it, and I didn't sleep much after that. The next day, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I tried to figure out what the most rational explanation could be, but nothing came to mind, so I decided to leave the light on when I went to bed that night, thinking maybe that would help. I took a bit longer to fall asleep, but I eventually nodded off. When I woke up, I got a massive fright. I had the feeling of something pressing down on my chest. I couldn't move and couldn't speak. It felt like I was being held down by a pair of hands. The room was completely still, and the air felt suffocating, and that breathing sound was right in my ear, like someone was lying next to me. After what felt like minutes, I managed to pull myself up, gasping for air, and the pressure on my chest immediately lifted. The room looked the same. The light was still on. Nothing was out of place. But I knew in that moment it would be the last night I stayed in that apartment. I packed a bag and left the next morning. I didn't even bother finding a new place before leaving. I just couldn't stay there another night. I didn't tell anyone the real reason I moved out either. I couldn't explain it to anyone that I knew would believe me. About a year later, I ran into someone I knew locally, and we got chatting for a while. And in a strange twist of events, it turns out they were the new tenant who had moved in after I left. We chatted some more when they told me they'd been having trouble sleeping and asked if I ever heard any strange noises at night. I asked what kind of noises, trying to play it off like I didn't know exactly what they meant. They just looked at me with a cold expression and said, "Like someone breathing right next to your bed."